Welcome in to the Fun Astrology Podcast for Tuesday, August 6th. Thomas Miller. You know, as I'm recording this, it's over the weekend because we do a lot of videos and TikTok, and these things go in different places, and Chet helps me with all of that. And to help with his schedule, we get these done on the weekend. And I'm sitting here realizing as I'm recording this that I have no idea what all might have happened in the world between now and when you're hearing this. We have the stock market, we have the situation in the Middle East. There's just so much going on in the world right now. If anything breaks that kind of trips the pattern of what we're talking about here, we'll do an insert. I am doing more on social media as well. If you'd like to follow along, we have Twitter, Fun Astrology Podcast, and Thomas Miller now. And that handle on my personal account is Tom Miller Talks. We've got the Instagram, that's under the same, and then Facebook, Fun Astrology Podcast, and then our private Facebook group, and we've got the TikTok Fun Astrology channel. So, and then of course the YouTube. So there's a lot of places, and I'm trying to get more of that pushed out right now. So we'll have touch points in between podcasts, but we're going to go ahead and roll with what we have today. Wanted to talk about the structure of the chart a little bit in context of Mercury's in retrograde and what we have coming up next week, which we've mentioned a couple of times now, the big domino effect of aspects between April 14th and 19th. Let's check in with the Oracle planet. It technically hasn't changed. The moon was in there for a couple of days, but Jupiter is still the Oracle planet. Now, that's Jupiter that is sitting right next to Mars. Yes, that is true, and it will be conjoining Mars on the 14th. So Mars is moving closer to Jupiter. Now, the Sun tomorrow, this is the one to talk about for tomorrow. The Sun will be sextiling Jupiter. We'll be exact tomorrow, and that is a favorable aspect. The powerful side is Mars is chasing Jupiter. The negative side around conflict is Mars is chasing Jupiter. And that's where I'm sitting here realizing at some point this thing in the Middle East is probably going to pop. And the markets are going to keep yo-yoing up and down. It's trickster season. There are times in astrology when it's good to mash the gas, and there are times when it's good to pull back in. This is one of those. So the Jupiter-Mars has kind of a double-edged sword, positive in the sense that it is in a sextile, which is good, challenging in the sense that Mars is in hot pursuit of Jupiter. Another aspect tomorrow that otherwise would have gone unnoticed is the moon will be opposite Saturn, and I think that's another one that should be noted. In fact, right now is a really good time to follow these lunar aspects. If you have an app on your phone like Time Passages or Time Nomad or Astro Gold or one of the other ones, Astromatrix, there's a bunch of them out there, but something that shows you what the sky looks like. And if your app has a grid function, I was showing somebody this the other day, on Astro Gold it has the grid function, and that's real easy to see the various aspects by their symbol without anything else. It's in a grid, but keep an eye on the moon. So those two times for tomorrow are 5:44 in the morning, this is all Eastern, the moon opposes Saturn, and then at 9:36 in the morning, the sun sextiles Jupiter. Now, the other thing in the chart, we've mentioned it last week, it's there now, it continues into next week, is that Yod with Pluto and Neptune at the base, Venus, Mercury, and now the moon at the top. That's the Virgo stellium, and they are pretty tight. The moon is pulling away, but Venus is at 1 degree Virgo. Mercury is at 4, moving backward. Today, this morning, the moon is at 8, so it will peel off. Those are the three at the top of the witch's hat. At the base of the witch's hat, the long extended triangle, Neptune and Pluto. And you know that's such a theme of things are changing in the world. Pluto, the planet of transformation. Neptune, the one that I've really been close to these last couple of weeks, the symbolism of our redemption, which is our returning to source. You know, we get so caught up in this physical reality that we forget that the real business at hand here is soul-based business. Neptune, where it is in your natal chart and where it is in the sky and where it is in the progressions and the solar arcs, shows us that path back to God, back to source, back to the universe, back to that from which we came. back to our co-creator. You know, Neptune was discovered in 1846, so think about that, middle part of the 1800s, just before the U.S. Civil War a few years. Its influence was there all along. Now there was something to tie it to. And as collectively astrologers assigned it to Pisces, gave it those spiritual characteristics, Neptune became more of a malefic planet. So in this Yod today, you would say that you have a malefic Pluto and a malefic Neptune at the base, thrusting their cooperative energy. In other words, all this stuff that's coming out, all this truth and the changes and the lies and deceptions and hiding behind the mask and all of that that's seeming to come off right now. And then that's moving itself up toward Mercury and Venus, with Mercury in retrograde. When we mentioned this last week, Venus was not close enough yet to Mercury to bring it in, but now it is. In fact, they conjoin tomorrow night. It's at 11:12 p.m. Eastern, but that's when they are together as one. And then with the moon in there today, I can just see the symbolism here of this collective change represented by Pluto and Neptune, affecting each of us in our hearts and in our heads and in our souls. That's what's represented there by those three Virgo planets. Venus, our heart; Mercury, our mind; the moon, our soul. All under this as above, so below, this time of transformation. And the high timeline side of living this aspect is what so many people are saying they are doing now, is finding source, finding God, finding higher power, in a whole new way, a fresh way, a real way. So the pretenses are coming down. That's the work that Pluto and Neptune are doing on this. And the truth and the refreshing new kind of connection with Source is what's ahead. Renewing of the mind, as the Bible says. Well, it's going on in the sky, and it's showing us that path. Woo! These are some amazing times. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Let that soak a little bit. Think about that for your own self, too. How can you change to go back to Source? See you tomorrow. Love you. Bye-bye.